So I would like to continue with this example between mother and her child being connected at the umbilical cord. So once again, we receive the nutrients that is needed to nurture and develop us to grow, to eventually be born in the Pure Land. And that nutrients is what we receive as the Onenbutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. And so, and when we receive that, we call that the moment of true entrustment, or what Shinran Shonin calls Shinjin, true entrustment. So to put this into perspective, we awaken to our mother's love for us, while in the womb, And in much the same way, we awaken to Amida Buddha's compassionate activity while in this life, How difficult is that? It's very difficult. Because we normally don't feel this kind of love, right? And so, there isn't this direct or concrete feeling in which we are embraced or directly. How do we know that this compassion embraces us? How can we feel this? How do we know for sure? But as I had mentioned before, there are glimpses when we see or can feel this compassionate working at place. There are certain instances in which we can feel or sense that we are part of something much larger, much greater, much more all-embracing than just this ego self. And we can't quite pin it down through our thoughts and words, but we can just feel it. There are moments in our lives when we feel it. And I'm sure you have felt these moments in your personal lives. When we are brought to tears when we part with a loved one, or you feel that kind of suffering, right? And it's much more than just a simple loss, right? You feel absolutely engrossed in, or absolutely enveloped within this dynamic life movement, and you feel pain and suffering. But amidst this pain and suffering, there is this rare occasion in which you feel a moment of this greater honest, for lack of a better word. Right? We are being brought up or nurtured to understand a world that is much more than just our own egocentric world. These powerful experiences, where we are shaken to our core, right, become ways we are being shown a greater world of true reality that is beyond the one that we know. The other day, here at this temple, there was a very moving message that was given here. And when this person's mother, in her final days before passing, she was kind of recalling this, the final days with her and her mother, okay? And in their last encounter together, that person's mother tells her, okay, that her daughter, right, the mother, so this dying mother tells her daughter, she says, the simple word of attention, right? She says, attention. And that's it. That was to be their last encounter together, right? That was her last words to her child. But it is in this reflection of this last encountering that the child now sees that the mother, in her last moments of her life, was still caring for her child, and says to her, attention, as in, pay attention to this life that is ever changing. Pay attention to this ephemeral glimpse in time, the flicker of life, right? Because it won't last long. In her care for her child, she gives this final message to her. Right? And this is truly the work of a bodhisattva. Now, as a Buddha, the lasting imprint of this priceless moment will never be forgotten on the daughter, on this person. You see, this is why we are Buddhists. The person who gave this account, right, the daughter who gave this account, this story, could not have come to that understanding of deep reflection were she not listening to the Buddha Dharma in her life. Because she has been and is now still being nurtured by Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion, this person was able to seize the moment and see the profound lesson that was to be realized in their last encounter. And this is why we come to Sunday services. Right? This is why we listen to the seminars and the lectures and watch the YouTube services, right? Because precious moments that happen throughout your life, right? The moments like the one in their last encountering between a mother and her daughter. Precious moments like those don't go unnoticed, right? The more we listen, the more we hear the Buddha's calling voice. The more we hear the Buddha's calling voice, the more we see how in every moment there is profound meaning there. Every moment. Right? We see how in every moment we are being shown just how much there is going on in this life, and that we have no idea just how deep this thing goes. When we sense that, when we feel that, when we just see how much we can never know, that's when we know. At that moment, there is only Namo Amida Butsu. There is nothing left to think. There's nothing left to say. There's nothing left to do. There is only Namo Amida Butsu. That's why we are here. 心得たと思うは心得ぬなり。心得ぬと思うは心得たるなり。This is what Master Renyo Shonin teaches us. Right? And this feeling of being part of a greater reality, that all of this is not meaningless, there is purpose to this. Your suffering, your joy, and your every emotion in between, such as nostalgia, these are all ways in which the greater reality is speaking to you. Every moment now is a moment in which you're being nurtured to understand this world of true reality. When something bad happens, like a death of a loved one, or a car accident, or someone gets sick, as Buddhists, we don't really ask the question of, why did this happen to me? Yoku arimasu yo ne, kono shitsumo. You ask yourself this, why did this happen to me? Why now? Why do I have to be told this right now? Just when I was, I got my promotion, or just when I'm like almost there to get my degree or something, right? We always think, why did this have to happen to me now? What did I do to deserve this? Yoku iimasu yo ne. Instead of that, as Buddhists, it is more proper to think, why did this happen for me? Not why did this happen to me? Why did this happen for me? What am I supposed to learn from this? And this is what we are taught to ask of ourselves in self-reflection as Buddhists. On the other hand, when something good or positive or happy happens to me, then this is the question we should ask ourselves as Buddhists. Why did this happen for me? It's the same question. What am I supposed to learn from this? So in both, it's the same question, same question for both situations, both positive and negative situations. Why did this happen for me? What can I learn from this moment in time? When we ask ourselves this question, we start to see the profundity of life, the profound nature of life, the deep meaning of life, rather than constantly chasing our egocentric dreams and wishes. You see, like in philosophy, there is what's called the nihilist, right, or the existentialist, the critic, right, the skeptic. These, this world, who say that this world of reality is nothing more than simply the physical world. Once I die, that's it. That's it. There's nothing else left to, if I see it, I believe it. That's it, right? But that's such a narrow way of looking at life. I still don't understand why people say that, And that's the key difference between Shin Buddhists and the skeptics and these other philosophers. In our eyes, true reality is not some objective reality. True reality is actually passionate, right? It embraces us. And that's the difference, right, between us and the other skeptics or the other philosophers or nihilists and existentialists. Okay? Amida Buddha is the Buddha of wisdom and compassion. And it puts a whole new twist, a whole new meaning to the word Mother Nature. Our mother is Amida Buddha. The world is one in which Amida Buddha speaks to us in the form of Namo Amida Butsu. In Japanese, we call Amida Buddha Oyasama, Oyasama. And here in America, that has been de-emphasized. なんでなんでしょうね? I think it's because we see Oyasama as some kind of godlike figure, some kind of deity. I think that's why. でもね, it has a very significant relationship there, that it's not a cold reality that's separate from ourselves. We are connected intimately, right? Through that, again, the umbilical cord. Through the onenbutsu, we are connected to true reality, right? That is a very significant point in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. So, in conclusion, this life is invaluable. It is worth it. It is priceless. It is priceless not because I say so. It's priceless because Amida Buddha tells us so. When we forget that, please remember Oheso, Onenbutsu, right? Namo Amida Butsu. It's easy to forget that it's there. And it's easy to forget and overlook this connection to truth. But it's there. And we shouldn't ask ourselves, why did this happen to me? Let's ask ourselves, why did this happen for me? I think this is much more in line with the Buddhist sentiment. Our Oyasama is calling out to us with compassionate care and saying to us, attention, attention. The more we listen, the more we see indeed just how much we are embraced in the working of the Buddha. And with that, I would like to close today. Thank you very much for coming to today's service. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.